Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Steve Lyon Show. I'm DJ Foster, joined by Grand Valley State head baseball coach Steve Lyon. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Good to be here, DJ.
It's our first time talking this year. We'll get some people up to speed. You're 14-8 now, 4-4 in GLIAC play after a 3-1 weekend against Ashland, who's always a perennial contender towards the top of the conference and in the region. So a good weekend for you guys. You win both games on Saturday and you split on Sunday. Talk about the 4-game weekend against the Eagles.
Yeah, we won both games on Saturday, although I don't think we played very well. It was just, some of the same things we've been facing all year long with our hitting and our defensive play. They just happened to do the same thing, and they did it worse. So we ended up on top. Scapel threw a great game. It's the second consecutive 1-0 game he's been involved with. He lost one last weekend. So this weekend, I guess the baseball guys were on his side. Got a big home run from Kevin Zach to give us a run, and he made it stand up along with Brad Zambron. In the second game, we scored a few runs, had a couple good at-bats where we moved runners along and scored a guy with a sac fly and all those things you need to do. And again, right. Zach had a big 2-run double. But we still didn't play very well defensively, especially late in the game. Thank goodness that Zambron came in again and got the save. And, it's good having him at the end of games. Our starting pitching's been good. It's just we haven't scored a lot of runs and we haven't played really good defensively. But 2 wins are 2 wins against a pretty quality opponent in Ashland. So we felt pretty good going into Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday you get a 1-0 win in game one, as you said. Kevin Zach, the big solo home run in the bottom of the fifth for the only run of the game. Kyle Scapel, 6 innings pitched, gets the win. He's now the school's all-time career wins leader, 27-4. You can talk about that here in a second. And then in game two, a 4-2 win. Again, Zach with a big 2-run double that ended up putting you up 4-0, I believe. Ashland scored a couple, but those were the deciding runs. But kind of not a pitcher's duel, I would say, in the second game, but there were only 9 hits combined between the two teams. And Ryan Garman pitched well. The Laker fans remember he threw the no-hitter at Ashland last year. This time he pitched 5 1/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, gets the win. And as you mentioned, Brad Zambron came in and shut the door in both those games, picking up the saves. So again, talk about Kyle Scapel, first off, and what an accomplishment that is for him.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many losses he had. If he's only had 4 losses in his career here, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. I know he's undefeated last year, 11-0. He's had the 1 loss this year, the 1-0 game. It wasn't his fault. So he's had a great career. He started off as a freshman, and I think the first time we really threw him was in an exhibition game against the Whitecaps. So we kind of threw him under the fire a little bit, and he responded through 4 or 5 pretty good innings against a professional team here in Grand Rapids. So it was good to see him being able to handle that as a freshman, and he's continued to grow. He's matured. He understands pitching a little bit better. His arm strength is good. He's one guy in our rotation that can throw 4 pitches for strikes, which is really valuable, and he continues to give us great outings every time we throw him out there. So he's had a great career here, and congratulations to him and Joe Jablonski too, whose record he broke.
Right, lasted for all of 1 year.
Joe just got the record last year, so I'm sure Joe's happy for Kyle. They were good friends when he was here, and Kyle's a perfect example of a good guy that's worked hard and everything he gets, he deserves.
And Ryan Garman pitched well in game 2. Talk a little about his effort, and then, as you mentioned, Kevin Zach had a good offensive day overall and came in through in the clutch, especially. Yeah,
Garman's really started to throw like he did last year. And the first couple outings he had down south, and he pitched okay at Urbana. He's got some wins, but got rocked a little bit against Seton Hill on the spring trip. So his ERA is pretty high, but the last 2 or 3 times out, his arm strength has been really good. His velocity's up there in the mid-80s again, where it needs to be, and his breaking ball is the best on our team. So he's been throwing really good. So anytime you can throw Scapel and Garman on the first day in a 4-game series against somebody, you got a pretty good chance of doing well.
Sure.
And it's good to get a couple wins on Saturday. And Zach was really basically our whole offense all day on Saturday with the big home run the first game and the big 2-run double in the second. And he ended up scoring the 4th run after the double. So he really was integral in 4 of the 5 runs that we scored on the day.
Sure. Now, on Sunday, it was kind of a tale of 2 games. Ashland brought the offense in game 1. You brought it in game 2. You lose game 1 7-1. They scored 6 in the 3rd inning, kind of put it out of reach. Giancarlo Brugnoni hit a solo home run, and we were over at softball yesterday, and that almost hit us in the press box. That thing was an absolute bomb. And then in game 2, you win 9-2. You score 7 in the 2nd inning, so you kind of give it right back to the Eagles. And you had 5 guys with 2 hits apiece. Nadrotowski, Anderson, Brugnoni, Zach, and Buitendijk all had 2 hits apiece. Nadrotowski and Butendijk had 2 RBIs each. So, I mean, pretty much all through the lineup, you had production from all those guys, which has to be good to see.
It was great to see. I think Zach Lopp was the only one that didn't have a hit in our lineup, and he hit the ball on the nose like 3 times and just didn't get anything for it.
Okay.
So it was a good production from 1 through 9, which is what we had all last year. One of the reasons we had such success last year is the pitcher couldn't take a deep breath all the way through our lineup.
Sure.
So it was good to see that come back to fruition, and we played good defense, pitched well, and all the things we need to do to win that second game. The first game, their kid pitched really well, and we didn't play very well, other than Brugnoni's home run, and it was kind of in some sense, a meaningless home run. It was 7-0 when he hit it, but I think it on track Giancarlo. He had a couple hits the second game, and we need him and Anderson and those guys in the middle of the order to be productive, which they've been a little inconsistent, but we're hoping that Giancarlo breaks out of it, has a good week coming up. We've got a lot of games coming up in the next 10 days, so we're going to need Giancarlo and everybody else to continue to produce offensively.
Yeah, if I had a 500-foot home run, that would probably get me on back true.
Yeah.
Coach, talk about your freshmen. Last year you were 52-5, but you lost a lot of key players from that. So you're playing and/or starting a lot of freshmen, including Mike Nadrotowski in center field, Kevin Zach at short. We've talked about Mitchell Kozlowski over at third base, but you also use Jamie Potts to DH and in the outfield. Lance Butendijk in the infield, and even you can go as far as saying Stephen Claypool at second base. He's a transfer, not a freshman, but that's 6 new guys right there that weren't on the team last year, and they're playing big innings, playing a lot of time for you this year. And with your record at 14-8, maybe some growing pains, but certainly it's going to be something that's going to help out in the future.
Yeah, I think sometimes you think back on 52-5, and 2 of those losses were in the World Series, so really 3 losses up until the World Series last year, and it's almost like it's a dream, and you can't expect a season like that. So 8 losses out of 22 games, it's not bad. And we do have some growing pains going on. As you mentioned, we lost 6 guys out of our lineup, 6 guys that have been around and were experienced and have been through the, all the things, the trials and tribulations of a season. So we're kind of, feeling our way through with some of those young guys. I think 3 of those 5 guys you mentioned with 2 hits in the second game yesterday were freshmen. So it's just a little bit unusual for us to have that many freshmen in the lineup, but it's good for the future. I think they're going to continue to grow and get better. I'm hoping quicker rather than later. We still have a long way to go in this season. We have a lot of confidence in our pitching staff because that's one area we do have a lot of experience coming back. So we need to take advantage of our good, solid starting pitching and Zambron and Whitney in the bullpen by getting them a few runs. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able to do that. And we also need to play behind them a little bit better defensively and take some of the pressure off them. Scapel and some of the other pitchers that throw in like Scapel, two consecutive 1-0 games, that's a lot of pressure on a pitcher when you go out there and think you've got to throw a shutout every time you take the mound. And these guys are all friends. So I talked to the position players. I said, you need to help your friends out here a little bit on the other side of the field, the pitching staff, and get them some support, take a little pressure off them, let them relax and have some fun instead of going out there and thinking that they give up a run, got a chance to lose the game. So I think it'll happen. It's just a matter of them trying to find their way through a little bit, some of the freshmen. But I'm really happy with some of the guys. Butendijk came in. He hadn't played for probably 10 days or so, maybe 2 weeks. And we put him at shortstop because Zach has a stress fracture in his leg. It's kind of like shin splints. Compounded a little bit, so he has a little trouble defensively. Obviously, offensively, he still feels good because he had a good day. So we put him in the DH hole and let Lance play shortstop, and he made 2 or 3 really nice plays at short, got a couple big hits for us, so we're probably going to leave him in there for a little bit and see how he does.
Good. Well, you'll have a couple opportunities this week to do that and kind of monitor these guys again. You play at Hillsdale on Tuesday. You get to see the Chargers for the first time this year, and then you go to Saginaw Valley State for 4 games this weekend, always a big test when you play the Cardinals and at their place especially. So 6 big games this weekend. Kind of preview the week ahead for us. Yeah,
they're all on the road, which we've been fortunate. We had the first 8 games in the conference at home, and now we go on the road for 6. And Hillsdale, although they're at the bottom of our conference right now, they've lost some really tough games, and they haven't played a home game yet. So they're, I'm sure, excited about having us come in for their home opener. They'll be revved up and ready to go, and they're always a better team at home, as most of us are. So that'll be a test on Tuesday, and then With Easter weekend, we play Friday, Saturday, as opposed to Saturday, Sunday this week at Saginaw, and they're at the top of our conference right now, only one loss in the conference. So it's certainly going to be a test. We just need to kind of take care of our own little family and try to grow as a team and let the chips fall where they may, so to speak, in terms of the wins and losses. I think they'll happen as long as we play well. But it'll be a good test. And as you mentioned, Saginaw and all the schools, I think, when we come into town, because we've been successful in the past, they really get excited about playing us. So we need to match that enthusiasm and make sure that we're ready to play. We had a good day of practice, and we're ready to go to Hillsdale and see what happens.
Well, it's certainly fun being the one that teams are aiming for when you wear the bullseye on your chest and just try and stay up at the top as long as you can.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, best of luck at Hillsdale and Saginaw Valley State this weekend, and we'll talk again next week.
Thanks, DJ.
Thank you for watching the Steve Lyon Show here on the Grand Valley Sports Network.